And history has shown us that it is during these tough times that our true strength and resilience shine through. COVID-19 is a very recent example. Today, we have come together to explore strategies, share insights, and empower one another to lead the way forward. This webinar is not just about mere survival, it is about embracing change, harnessing opportunities, and shaping our collective destiny. It is about stepping beyond the boundaries of traditional thinking and forging new paths that will lead to growth and success. As professional bodies, we hold a unique position of influence and responsibility. We are the custodians of our respective industries, representing collective voice of professionals who drive innovation, uphold ethical standards, and contribute to the growth of our economies. In these challenging times, our roles have become much more critical. During this webinar, we will delve into various topics that are essential to our collective success. We will explore strategies for adapting to economic shifts, identifying emerging trends, and capitalizing on new opportunities. We will discuss how professional bodies can proactively support their members, provide valuable resources, and foster a sense of community to ensure that no profession or professional is left behind. Beyond survival, we aim to thrive. Together, we will uncover ways to enhance the value we bring to our industries, support sustainable growth, and champion the spirit of innovation. We will empower one another to embrace change, challenge the status quo, and build a future that is resilient and prosperous. I encourage you all to actively participate, engage in meaningful discussions, and share your experiences and expertise. The collective knowledge and insights in this virtual room are immense, and by collaborating, we can amplify our impact and drive meaningful change. Before we begin, I would like to express my gratitude to the host, Mr. Kehinde Shogunle, the Chief Solution Architect, Lead Resources, and all the four speakers who have graciously agreed to share their expertise today. Their insights and perspectives will be invaluable in guiding us towards a future of growth and success. I also extend my gratitude to all the executives of the APBN, Ogun State Chapter, the past APBN chairmen of member bodies, esteemed members of APBN, professional attendees, for taking their time to be part of this important webinar. Your presence and active participation demonstrate your commitment to professional excellence and your dedication to thriving in challenging times. Now, let us all embark on this journey together, armed with knowledge, collaboration, and unwavering determination, not just to thrive, to survive, but to thrive. I wish you all a fruitful and enriching experience during the webinar. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gladys. That was an amazing way to start this webinar. Thank you so much. I'm sure we are so excited already. So if you're just joining in, kindly put in the chat box your name, where you're joining in from, and what you do. In the chat box, your name, where you're joining in from, and what you do. Once again, thank you so much, Mrs. Chairman. It's such a good way to start this webinar. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado and taking much of our time, it is now time and a great pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker for today's webinar. You know, this distinguished individual, she is a leading expert in the industry and she has in-depth understanding of Nigeria economy. And today she'll be shedding more light on the current realities of the post-transition Nigeria economy, the performance indices, the impact, and what we should all look out for. So help me make welcome Mrs. Folashade Oshun. She is the managing director of Hyperformance Associate Limited and also a co-host for today's webinar. You are welcome to take the virtual floor, ma. Welcome on board, ma. I yield the mic to you now, ma. Mrs. Folashade.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you, Hal. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Fola Shade. I'm Managing Director of Hyperformance Associate Limited. For the next 15 minutes or thereabouts, we will engage on taking an what we call an active prognosis of the Nigerian economy. The whole essence of this is to audit our current circumstances and see where the value or the opportunities are. Because whether we like it or not, what is happening is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. The global economy has yet to recover from the twin dilemmas of the pandemic that has created a lot of disruption, strategic gridlocks everywhere, and has put the capacity of many economies to test. Now, when we bring it closer home to Nigeria, Nigeria is not immune from a lot of these global shocks because also our economy, our economic fortunes are intertwined with our monoproduct, which is oil. And anything that happens on the financial landscape, global financial landscape, tends to impact on the way we do business, the way we engage in trade and commerce, and most especially the way we engage in technology to enable our processes and also to create new compelling ways of doing business. Nigeria, the signs have been there for a very long time that the economy was headed for some kind of dip, given the fact that the international price of crude oil continues to flip. And it is not unusual, given the fact that the oil economy is buffeted by what we call the boom and bust cycle. Nigeria today currently lacks refining capacity for what she produces. Apart from the fact that the export quota by OPEC has not been reached or has not been met in the last 6 to 7 years, where on the average the international crude oil prices as they rise are of no immense benefit to the economy, even when you consider the fact that it should naturally mean a triple in terms of resources. Nigeria is currently overborrowed and is functioning as what I would like to call, using the manufacturer's terminology, less than installed capacity. But that's not to say that there are no opportunities in this emerging conundrum. Currently, inflation rate, which as at 4 weeks ago was estimated at about 22.89%, is spiraling downwards, spiraling upwards, and may on the average cross the 30% mark before the year runs down. Scary, isn't it? In the same vein, when you consider that the food inflation in Nigeria has tripled the current projected, people said, oh, for the first time we are slipping into double digits. It's not true. We actually entered into double digits more than a year ago. And if food prices are inflating at the price where they are right now, it's not, I mean, there's no rocket science to tell us that unless we address this concern very quickly, we might be headed for a major crisis. But one thing I always say and I tell people is that Nigeria is a peculiar case. You cannot slice and dice it by any international known or acknowledged metric for development because there will always be burgeoning opportunities. Everyone is affected, everyone is impacted. And it is no longer a case of, is it about a change of government? Would a change of government have done better? The truth about it is that we entered this gulag a long time ago. The first indicators were provided around 2015 when the federal government was actually borrowing money to pay salaries. Even beyond that, we are overborrowed in terms of what we have been using the money that we borrowed to do. We were not investing in capacity, we were not investing in capital development. About 70 to 80% of that was used in taking care of overhead expenditure of the legislature and the executive. Now, when you consider the fact that we are also currently servicing our debt on those loans with almost 97 to 98% of our earnings, which are in decline anyway because we are still losing about an average of 700,000 barrels a day to oil theft. It looks like what we call a double whammy, dear party. Now, it is altogether clear that whether the international price of crude rises or falls, Nigeria is not in the position to benefit from the windfall as the economy is currently structured. And so we must begin to think of doing things in different ways. The lessons were brought up early in the first quarter of the year for those of us who are professionals, for those of us who lead organizations, those of us who are in businesses, with the attempted redenomination of the naira and what it did to the economy. It flattened out many businesses in the first quarter of the year, particularly those that would sell small to medium scale companies that are still struggling with survival. The first part of it we lost to COVID because many businesses went under. The few that were managing to exhale found themselves flattened the first quarter of 2023. And everybody put hopes on, okay, we're going to have elections, and then when we have the elections, it will create a stabilizing environment for us to thrive and do business. The elections have come and gone. And the reality is that the country can no longer afford to retain the subsidy on petroleum prices. Apart from the fact that the way the currency was denominated, we are not optimizing value for gain. And so the regime of paying fuel subsidies and still contending with shortages and payment deficits, including loans, somebody has to bite the bullet. Unfortunately, it wasn't implemented in phases. And so what happened is that as soon as the first the fatwa was declared, the economy went into near paralysis. Making it worse now, the unification window that has ensured that the naira has been floated has also created some gaps, because the whole attempt of unification was to close the gap between the official exchange rate and the exchange rate out of the street. But it has not been hunky-dory. What has happened is that now we still have trading a parallel trading market, simply because we do not even have enough dollars in the system. Now, from an initial 742, now the dollar is floating or inching closely towards 900 naira. And it has been predicted that it may hit 1,000 or thereabouts before the year runs out, unless something is done. We are not even exporting enough to bridge that gap of 50 difference. Coupled with the fact that the country is what I call broke, but we are not busted. And so the whole essence of this program is for us to, as professionals, to begin to rethink our value creation process. It's very tempting for us to do two things. When things like this happen, just like in organizations, the first thing that go down is usually the investment in marketing. Companies embark on serious cost-cutting ventures. But the challenge with cost-cutting is that it has a way of destroying value if it's not properly handled. The first thing is they want to streamline efficiencies, and then they say more people have to go. We need to cut down on utilities. We need to do this. What is happening is that you will continue to asphyxiate the system until there is no business anymore. And so, while cost-cutting may look attractive, by the time you decide to pass the cost of your value creation down to the consumer, you might find, if you are in manufacturing or you are in retail business, you might find out that you have an inventory busting of unsold goods, which altogether even destroys the value you're trying to create. If you are a professional in the field of services, you might discover that competition becomes more hyper aggressive and everybody is looking for the bottom barrel. And in the process, you commoditize your brand, you commoditize your services, and suddenly it's no longer looking attractive. There's an interesting dimension to how organizations can plow and navigate through this time. There was a book I was privileged to read many years ago called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Many organizations are very quick to imitate. They do not pass break. And so the question is, what is selling now? What can we do? And before you know it, everybody is moving in the same direction. Only very few organizations sit down to rethink their value creation process or model. And everything begins with auditing your current circumstances, asking yourself some hard-nosed questions. What are the things that we have been doing that will no longer take us into the future? All over the world, the trend is now moving from profitability towards sustainability. I know many organizations are not thinking of sustainability. They only want to survive. But even that survivor platform or that survivor threshold is thinning by the day. Margins are growing thinner. Overhead costs are growing higher. You are paying more for utility services. All of these are cost inputs that go into your production process. You are not scaling and you are not scaling as fast as you would have wanted to, which altogether reduces the size of your market coverage. And when that happens, The challenge again is that we segue back into the idea of let us cut cost until ultimately there is nothing to cut anymore. We on this webinar are looking at beyond survival. We are looking at how we can thrive even within an economic space that is threatening. Already the government is thinking of raising taxes. But altogether, if it is not carefully managed, if we are not plowing if we are not plowing the game into investment, giving specific time frames, and then managing processes, either as government or as organizations, ultimately the value of what has been saved becomes lost because we plow it back into the same inefficient structure and system, and everything goes down at some point. But the essence of this webinar, like we said, is for us to come together as professionals and look critically at our policy framework. If we are professionals or advisors to other businesses, what do we need to do first? What do we need to understand? Before we break into the panic mode and begin to look for where to cut costs, I think it's imperative for us to audit our current realities and circumstances and ask ourselves, when we're putting together our viability and feasibility plans or studies for the business, were we thinking of how sustainable this will be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What is our growth plan? Do we want to scale? On what scale do we want to thrive? And in thriving, do we want to look at integration, either within the business or outside? Do we want to look at collaboration? Do we want to look at streamlining processes? Do we want to optimize capacity? All of this sounds like a lot of English, but the truth about it is that an organization is only as strong as its weakest point. As organizations, as business owners, first of all, we need to remind ourselves constantly that the business is a going concern, just like Nigeria is a going concern. Irrespective of whoever assumes authority or takes up the leadership position in this country, they will continue to be buffeted by the same problem. Forget about the campaign season is over, and this is about governance. We are looking critically at governance now and looking at how we can create value even within the stinted or what you call dire circumstances to move forward. Now, the scale at which we transform will differ from organization to organization, but it's imperative for those of us who find ourselves in clusters based on homogeneity of our market, based on similarities of the needs, and based on the similarity of the market segment we attract, we begin to look inwards at our value creation process. Already in manufacturing, many companies are doing it. They are doing contract manufacturing. They are doing effective collaboration in terms of branding and communication so that they can reduce the cost on their overhead and then shorten the customer cycle. Already we know that manufacturing in Nigeria appears to be endangered, because by the time you consider your overhead cost compared to the person who is bringing in gray imports through borders that are not exactly optimized in terms of security architecture, that person may get to the market earlier than you and at a price that's lower than you. Unilever recently posted I think 75% deficit on their on their P&L, and for them it is an indication that unless something gives, they have to move. Already they have delisted some lines. Okay, they have delisted some lines. They have moved them out to new markets. They have farmed out some things. They have outsourced a lot of it. But if we continue this trend at which the naira keeps on buckling to the dollar, we cannot sustain that trend for too long. And so, beyond survival, we want to thrive. So, in thriving, what are the things that we need to take a look at? What are the steps? What are the next steps? What time frame do we have to begin to see these beautiful changes? The question is, what is our current operating model? Now, I know there are a lot of professionals here who do not have the kind of span of control we are talking about. But then what would you be doing within your sphere of influence? As heads of units, departments, in organizations, how can you sell this gospel to the larger organization so that they begin to see the trajectory and the difference between cost and value? Cost is not the same as value creation. If we continue the rentier model of governance, both at the government level, at the executive level, and it trickles down to organizations, what will happen is at the end of the day, when you pass the cost to the consumer, it becomes a battle of sorts. Go into the retail stores, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, and see what has happened to customer footprint. In an environment where customers or consumers have a choice anyway, they have a choice on what to buy. They have a choice on where to get it. They have a choice on what price they need to pay. You might just discover that you have an inventory full of goods that are unsold. I tend to term the new development what you call the sachetization of the economy. When you go into the stores, what you see is now many organizations are adopting what you call the range optimization and the line optimization model. They are not only delisting lines, they are also reducing pack sizes. Two options. People complain that when they buy some products these days, it appears unusually lighter or smaller than what it used to be. So what many organizations do is that they have sachetized everything. There's nothing you can't find in sachet anymore. I was pleasantly surprised when I entered a retail store recently, and some products that were considered to be premium have now joined the others at what you call the bottom of the barrel. There's something now called, there's something where there's this book I read a few years ago, to the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. That was, I think, by the authors of Competing for the Future, that looked at mass aggregation of demand at the lower pyramid of needs, and then scaled accordingly, giving them a shorter time to market, and also them giving them a shorter time to recoup their investment and reinvest. A lot of products now have gone the sachets, and those are our realities. So as a business owner, it is imperative for you now to begin to look at the small steps first. Unless you actually have a transformation agenda and a transformation plan, it will be hard to think that you can break the wave just like that. As a matter of time, we tell people, we say, you know what, take a deep breath first and audit your current circumstance. And then move you beyond the traditional model of your business to begin to think of transformation begins with the mind. And this is where we talk about innovation. The next speaker will focus on innovation. Innovation doesn't necessarily mean that you are creating a totally new paradigm. Innovation begins with a mindset. It's a paradigm shift in thinking that looks at the entire landscape and then plots the opportunities accordingly. You can begin to look at either vertical integration or look at lateral integration. But then I will leave that to the next speaker to delve into in detail. And this is where I leave everyone. I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening to me, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Falashade Oshun. That was so profound. Wow. Such a good way. Like that was really, really enlightening. Like you were so big on value creation, and I realized that there's really a structured way or process to creating value. And also you also made mention of a very profound statement of moving from profitability to sustainability. And really, it really comes from having the right mindset. Wow, that was very, very profound. Thank you so much, Mrs. Falashade. All right, so again, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome once again. And to those that are just joining in, I would really love you to please indicate in the comment section your names, where you're joining in from, and what you do. So right now, we'll be moving further. I know, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue on this journey into the realm of professional growth and resilience, I will understand the realities that we are in right now, just as what our first speaker has really emphasized on. It is now time to now delve into the specific challenges and opportunities that we actually face within our various and respective sectors. So how we're bringing in the second speaker for today's webinar, and he will be shedding light on sectorial challenges and the abundant opportunities that await professionals. And we are so honored to have him here, and we eagerly anticipate the insight he has to share on this. So I'll be welcome to Mr. Oluranti Dion. He is a digital transformation expert at Lead Resources. You're welcome, sir, and we can hear you. You're welcome on board, sir. Are you the mic now?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. And I say thank you very much. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
All right, and I want to say thank you so much. It's a privilege to speak to this enlightened gathering of professionals, and I believe that we are going to have a robust discussion session after our presentations. And I also want to say thank you to Mrs. Falashade Oshun. She has really provided a very solid foundation for the rest of the discourse. And so it's no news that we are in a new Nigeria, and I again want to welcome us all. We have no other nation. There is nowhere that we are going to. and so we all have a responsibility to make this nation work. And so we are going to be looking at, we are not shying away from the fact that we have challenges, but we are saying that we want to thrive even though there are tough economic times. And we want to look at the sectoral challenges and the opportunities ahead. What are we talking about? Because in a situation like this, it's very easy for us as a nation, as professionals, as businesses, as individuals, to enter the panic mode. And suddenly everybody is trying to survive. And I would just like us to take a pause and step backwards and understand that we have a choice um, at how we look at the situation, because that again is going to determine how we approach it. Now, there are two ways to it. Either you are trying not to die, or you are trying to live. Now, we think it is the same thing, but it's actually different psychological perspectives. Somebody who is trying to survive is actually trying not to die. So the person is doing the barest minimum just to keep afloat. The person is problem focused. The person is looking at the challenges and trying to avoid them, trying to keep from sinking. And that means that the person is likely to look away from other opportunities that are around that could help him to survive, to thrive, rather than just trying to exist and not die. On the other hand, thriving is a positive, it's a proactive mindset. Somebody who wants to thrive is actually trying to live, is making efforts to live. And what am I saying? Yes, we have challenges, but we need to have a mind shift. We need to be deliberate. We need to be intentional about our decision to make our businesses work, to make our nation work. And so we need to begin to look away from the challenges. Yes, we have challenges. We are not oblivious of that fact. But we are saying beyond trying to survive our challenges, let us identify the opportunities that are available for us so that we can leverage on those opportunities and thrive. Okay, here we are. The point is that it is not by accident that we arrived here as a nation. And it is not a surprise to many of us who have been watching over the years and who have been clamoring for the right economic policies and actions to be taken by the government. Okay, so we have come to this point because we have refused to diversify from a monoproduct economy. Now, there is nothing bad about having oil. There is nothing bad about having a resource that is predominant. But we need to understand from the economic perspective that even common sense tells us that you do not put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, it's a common saying. So what Nigeria has done is that we have put all our eggs in the crude oil basket. And unfortunately, because nations have an economic incentive to reduce costs, people have begun to look for alternative sources of generating energy. They are looking away from crude oil. And then the necessity for a sustainable environment has also put pressure on the oil industry so that oil is no longer fashionable. And so the problem for us here is that we have a monoproduct economy, and it is gradually becoming less fashionable. So it means that the revenue that we are generating from it is dwindling by the day. Now, because we have refused to diversify, again, the capacity, the productive capacity of the average Nigerian and average business has been low because we have not developed other industries that could also generate revenue and help the GDP. So it means that we have left ourselves vulnerable to this kind of shock. And now we're experiencing a twin shock because the reason why we had subsidy in the first place was to cushion the effect of market fluctuations in the oil industry so that we will not have to pay the international price because we believe that we do not have the capacity. So instead of us to look for opportunity to increase our capacity as a nation, what we did was we were trying not to die. And this is what has got us to this point. All right, so we have the removal of petroleum subsidy resulting in higher transportation costs. And transportation cuts across a number of sectors like manufacturing, agriculture, and retail, which rely on efficient logistics. And so we have a problem in our hands. The cost of living is rising, and everybody is feeling the harshness of the current economic environment. But again, like I said, for somebody who has chosen to live, we need to lift our heads above the waters and see what is in the horizon that can help us not to stay afloat only, but also to survive and get to the shore. I mean, we want to get to a place where we can actually take decisions that will drive this nation forward. And so we want to look at a number of areas. Now, I want to again point out that in this webinar, we have people who are consultants, we have people who are policy advisors, we have people who are business owners. And, we will be looking from each of these perspectives as time will permit us, because we need a holistic approach. Right now, Nigeria is in the surgical theater, on the operating table. And we need a multiplicity of approaches to ensure that Nigeria not only survives, but thrives. One of the realities that came to stare us in the face was the fact that we could no longer go on sustaining the subsidy regime. And I am wondering, with all of the opportunities available, why did we not take proactive steps? Last month, early this month, the FAAC released 907 billion naira for the federal government, the states, and the local governments to share. And they said that the nation generated over 1 trillion. And I am asking, so why didn't we look for productive ways of channeling these resources before we got to this point? But okay, we are here and we need to move forward. So what are the opportunities that we need to tap into? The first and most obvious one is the opportunity for diversification. Dubai did was simply to diversify the proceeds of the oil economy. What was simply to diversify the profits of the copper economy. And they channeled it into other industries, particularly those that were not those that were non-extractive. What these nations did was to look at the low-hanging fruit, look at their comparative advantages, and they channeled this money into developing those sectors to again increase their capacity to generate funds, to increase their GDP, and particularly, most importantly, to increase the per capita income. So these are the areas, whatever it is that we begin to look at, we must begin to look in the direction of achieving these aims. Nigeria, for instance, needs to diversify its export basket, which of course we know is highly concentrated in hydrocarbon products. We need to begin to look at the production of complex products. I came across an interesting fact, and I discovered that with all the hype about petroleum, in 2021, petroleum ranked 1,016th out of 1,065 products in the product complexity index. Now, how is that index, how does it come about? we discovered that products that are produced or exported raw actually rank far lower than products that are the results of multiple value addition. You compare petroleum to what ranks number one, developed exposed photographic material. You have a product complexity index of minus 2.588 for crude oil and a PC of 2.301 for developed exposed photographic material. What am I saying is that we need to begin to look at such indexes and begin to look at what we have comparative advantage to produce to help us to achieve an export potential that will guarantee resilience, that will guarantee sustainability. Another area that we need to look at is that we need to look at opportunities that will generate jobs. The per capita income is so low, and with all the money that we have generated from crude oil in the past years, we discovered that there is a missing link between the macroeconomic impacts and the microeconomic impacts. So we find that there is a certain percentage of the population that seems to go up a larger share, and that percentage actually is the smaller one. So we are looking for opportunities to diversify that will increase the capacity of the average Nigerian to generate income and to increase effective demand if we will not continue to have a contraction in our economy. Of course, the government is taking some physical steps, but we again need to look at that critically to ensure that such resources that are being channeled are channeled into the right sectors and the right industries so that the money does not again go down to the drain. So, for instance, if we look at the agriculture sector, you know, the president has come out to declare a food security emergency. And there are a number of initiatives that the government has begun to take. And we see a lot of money being released. The first thing we ought to understand is that as professionals, we are gatekeepers of the country's resources. We need to take government to task, and we need to monitor these funds to ensure that there is value for money. We need to check to see that wherever these resources are being channeled, they're actually being channeled in the right direction for the right purposes. We need to be sure that the priorities are actually right. Yes, we know that everybody is talking about agriculture, but are we talking about the areas that can have the greatest multiplier effect as we channel these resources into them? Because we do not have much time. We need to stabilize our economy because it's actually on the brink. The Nigerian economy has been teetering on the brink for the last 8 to 12 quarters. You know, it's only a miracle how we survived to this point. But at this point, again, we need to understand that the challenge of the increase in the fuel price regime has created a lot of tension in the system, and we need to look at low-hanging fruits that we can leverage on to bring stability back to our system. For instance, now the president has said that the federal government will partner with private enterprises to see to infrastructure development, particularly as it relates to agricultural sector. And you know, for the engineers in the house, for the highway engineers, for the irrigation engineers, for the agricultural engineers, and other economists and other people in the built environment and in the infrastructure sector, I am asking, what are we seeing? Are we seeing opportunities here, both in the area of business openings and also policy advisory? And those are thoughts that we should just keep in mind. Okay, now we also want to look at the area of manufacturing. Manufacturing is actually a key sector in our economy, which we need to look at to diversify this fund. We need to look at how we can do some level of backward integration and to be able to own the sources, you know, of raw materials as we seek to diversify from the monoproduct economy that we used to have. So I'm looking at that sector also partnering in the agri sector. The agri sector is very, very key. Okay, so the government is saying that they are going to partner with
Yeah.
mechanization. They're going to partner with mechanization companies, and I'm asking, are there companies in Nigeria that are into mechanization? Should they not put their foot forward?
Hmm.
As we speak, there is no indication that the government is giving a preference. The government has not said it, and we have to take government to task to ask them specifically. So, who are the companies that are going to benefit, from this initiative? What about the retail sector? We need to really look into value addition. Value addition is very critical, and I think it's an area that is becoming much more economically attractive. Okay, and I was discussing with one of my mentors yesterday, and jokingly we were talking about those who have japa. And do you know that if we look at it from the positive angle, it's actually creating an export market for local food. So if we begin to target those markets, we need to understand that we need to do a lot of value addition, and we also need to do a lot of quality control and standardization in order to meet the standards of those clients where we expect that we'll be able to, export our product. What about the tourism industry? We need to look critically at that. It's an area that has been neglected for a long time and only pockets of activity. And I think this is the time that we can also look into that area and, create more tourist attractions, do a lot of things around hospitality services, so that we can, we can we can promote Nigeria and our historical sites as tourist attractions. Okay, before I leave, let me talk about leveraging digital transformation for sectoral growth, because this is something that cuts across board. Now, embracing digital technologies can do three things for us: can streamline processes, can reduce operational costs, and it can also enhance productivity in various sectors. And this is an area that we need to look at very, very critically, because it's able to reduce the cost of operation across board. And that's a headache for many, many business owners, business managers right now. So the leveraging of digital transformation for sectoral growth is a key factor. In fact, if we look at one of the things, it was India has over 1 billion people, and the digital transformation in financial industry has helped them to reach a lot of the population with financial services that were not reached before. And we are saying that it has a very good opportunity to reduce the total cost of ownership of doing business, can affect our logistics positively, can affect our supply chain management positively, can affect our marketing effort positively, even for farmers. There's what you call the platform economy now. You will discover that the top 10 businesses in the world today, they are platform businesses.
Mm.
And so we need to begin to look, we need to begin to look at these opportunities in order to leverage on them to scale quickly. And I'm saying time is a critical factor. There is no time. So if Nigeria will not end up on the brink, we need to stop playing the catch-up game. We need to really leverage on all the resources we have and, push ourselves forward and really be the giants that we are.
Thank
Finally, let me
you.
leave with these few thoughts. Okay,
Okay.
on asset-based development. I will be handing
One
over
more minute
to my
to get
principal
me
to
on.
again flesh this out. So thank you.
Okay.
So we need to look at asset-based development because we need to empower local, subnational, and regional economies. Apart from depending on the national economy, you discover that there are different strengths in different regions. Okay, so we are saying that regions with abundant natural resources can focus on value addition of those natural resources. We need to foster entrepreneurship and to support local businesses, so that we can stimulate economic growth, and this will increase our resilience as a people and reduce our dependence on all these centralized economic activities. And I think I want to stop here. If I have opportunity, I will again come up
Thank
to
you.
probably during the question and answer session to flesh out
Thank
some of these
you.
thoughts that I had. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lurontidinho. I can see our speakers, they have so much to dish out today. So right now, we'll have a question and answer session. So I'm very sure that will be an opportunity for our speaker to even discuss, man, for us to also ask our questions. And also know that if you have any questions, please, you can send them to the chat box and wait till it's time for question and answer. You know, Mr. Dio really pointed out so much profound insights on we see the challenges, but yeah, there are opportunities, so much opportunities. He listed about more than up to like 10 opportunities that we have right now. Where we spoke about diversification, going to Nigeria to be going to being an export, into export-based industrialization, opportunities in manufacturing, value addition, tourism, hospitality service, and so much more. Well, thank you so much, sir. That was very profound, sir. So I don't want to waste much of our time. And once again, I want to give a very big thank you to our participants that have been here right from the beginning of the session. And I'm very sure we have already gained so much valuable insight from our previous speakers. So now, as we move forward, we have come to a very critical aspect of our discussion, which is managing personal, business, economic risks in this challenging time. And you all will agree with me that the uncertainties that actually surround us can often feel so overwhelming. And it is precisely during this period that we have to make informed decisions that are really essential for safeguarding our interest, business, and everything that's surrounding us. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our third speaker, and he will be shedding light on what are the effective strategies to manage economic risks both at the personal and the business level. So happy welcome to Mr. Danforth Edobo. He is the Risks and Leadership Management Consultant at Lead Resources. We are honored to have you here, sir. Are you the mic, sir? Mr. Edobo?
Thank you very much. Yes, everyone. Thank you very much, moderator. A very big morning to everyone here present. We are glad to be organized and Hyperformance Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been said about the economy. It is we have it in order to remain competitive, in order to move forward, and in order to sustain whatever growth or profitability or the economy. Know that we have to do now. This has to do with transportation. And the third one, survive. We cannot. We are spending 5 minutes. Hello. We have some challenges now. It's obvious that we have some challenges in the economy, and therefore we quickly have to embark on transformation, innovation, and improvement in order to survive. Today, we are faced with so many uncertainties in our economy. We really don't know where to go. Our leaders, unfortunately, I don't know whether they still have the ability to develop strategies that will enable us to survive the economic uncertainties and risks that we are facing. Now, from the personal point of view, we are facing the challenges of health. We are facing the challenges of loss of income. We are facing the challenges of unwantedly losing our dear ones and their family. And this is causing a lot of challenges, a lot of uncertainties in us. We can't think the way we should think. If we cannot think the way we should think, how then are we going to be able to transform our economy, to transform our business organization, to transform our professional bodies? Because we are now in a very, very competitive and very, very serious uncertain era in the life of the country, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let that we live is very, very important. Now, to the corporate bodies, to the professional bodies. All of us in this, we are facing the issue of insecurity, a very big risk in business practices in our economy today. We are facing some serious fiscal and monetary risk. Just 24 hours ago, it was announced that the basic interest rate had been moved to 18%. That creates a very big challenge for business organizations to survive, to access loan at a very reasonable rate. We look at it, there's lack of critical infrastructure in our economy. The energy supply is not there. The road network that is supposed to permit us to move our rural crops to towns are not there. And the existence of trade facilities is not enough for us to say we have to move our goods from one point of production to point of consumption. And we are also having what is called the fear of the unknown. How do we break all of this? How do we break all of this so that we can really transform, innovate, and sustain and improve our economy, our businesses, our individuals, as well as the culture as we want it to be? Now, we have to look at ways of managing these uncertainties. How do we go about it? Yes, we have to transform, we have to innovate, we have to improve, but who are those to carry out these responsibilities? We have the human beings in the organizations. They have to carry out these responsibilities. We have the husbands, we have the wives that have to ensure that the family have some good food to eat. But then these people have to be sustained. These risks that are facing them, the risk of losing job suddenly, the risk of losing job, the risk of ill health, the risk of sickness, coming around unexpected. We have to take some certain measure to ensure that the individually anticipated risk of life are handled reasonably well, that we have what we call peace of mind. Peace of mind. Peace of mind means that the mind is free of worries. The mind is free of troubles. The mind is free of any anxiety. The mind is free of any fear. And what you have left is the peace. The peace that is to help you to do what? To think, to innovate, to improve, and then to sustain the profitability level, to ensure that the family is well catered for, the society is well catered for, and we are impacting possibly in the well-being of the whole nation. Therefore, it is very, very important that we pay serious attention on how we can manage our individual risk as professionals managing business organizations, as professionals managing professional bodies all over the country. We need to have the peace of mind. First of all, in order to handle the health challenges, I would like to say that we should be very, very careful. We should be objective. We should be mindful that we should have we have a very healthy health care system. We have hospitals around. We have policies being put forward by the government. You as an individual, you should be able to give priority to the kind of health you are having. Go to the hospitals. Make sure they check you very often. Make sure they check for your blood pressure. Make sure they check for make sure they check for your body temperature, and make sure you ensure that your sugar level is reasonably well managed by you in such a way that unexpected diseases do not spring up in one's body. So the type of healthcare we have for ourselves is very, very important. In addition is the fact that we should try as possible to have a health insurance policy for our families, so that at the end of the day, we have the peace of mind to do what? To transform, to innovate, to sustain, to improve, and to impact on the economy. that we are running. The second point that have to do with us is the issue of lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle are you, the managing director? Are you the president of the institute? Are you the secretary to the board? What kind of lifestyle are you living? Are you living the nomadic lifestyle? Are you living the solo lifestyle? Are you living the moderated lifestyle? Are you living I don't care attitude lifestyle? Everything that comes, everything goes. You have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to do what? To transform our institutions, to transform our chartered bodies that we have, to transform the Nigerian economy, to transform all the business organizations that are being run here today. You can't do that when you begin to get involved in unguided ways of living, in a moderated lifestyle. It is destructive and it causes what we shall see very shortly, stress. And that becomes yet another very, very big problem. So one, your healthcare system has to be a good one. You have to be committed to maintaining your healthcare system. Number two, your lifestyle. Does your lifestyle permit you to think? Does your lifestyle permit you to innovate? Does your lifestyle permit you to have peace of mind, both at home, in the family, as well as in your places of work, as well as the ministry, as the case may be? Then the third thing we should think about, if we want to have peace of mind, is what is called our spirituality. Our spirituality is very, very important. Spirituality means the connection between us. They believe that above us, there is somebody that is bigger than us. There is somebody through whose creative thinking we were brought to life. And the person is there to do what? To see that we are with him, to see that we work according to instruction. Sometimes we have instructions in our ministries, in our company, in our institute that we manage. How many of us, out of the fear of God, would like to do what we have to do? Sometimes we throw it aside. We don't even care. We are not futuristic. Let me do my own and live here. The other person that is coming, I was in an organization, and when it was time for election to be held, and the outgoing president said, no, let me go. The incoming administration will take care of that. He did not lay a solid foundation for further growth of the body, further growth of the company, further growth of the nation. The nation, we need to be conscious of our spirituality. When we talk of spirituality, we are looking at individualism spirituality that grows within us as individuals. Are we conscious of the fact that, yes, if we live according to divine instruction, we shall be okay? Remember, the instruction that was given to Adam after God has created heaven and earth. He said, go ye, take dominion over my creators on earth, both on earth, inside water, underwater. Become what? Fruitful, multiply, and manage these resources that I have created. What are you doing to yourselves? It is a divine instruction that we make better use of the assets, of the resources that are before us. And therefore, it's a big challenge. If we don't do according to divine instruction, it is not just our president or our managers or our board of directors that are instructing us to do what we have to do in order for the company to move on. It is a divine instruction. And whoever goes contrary to divine instruction will not be able to make it. We want to make it, and therefore we will derive power of designing, of planning, organizing, evaluating, and assessing from divine source. And that is the creator of heaven and earth that is giving us that possibility. In spirituality, we are talking about being holy and having the gift of the Spirit, and allowing the gift of the Spirit to do what? To control you, to become what? A disciplined personality. Who is a disciplined personality? Someone who would have to do what he has to do whether or not he does not feel like doing it? Are you disciplined enough to ensure that the surplus cash flow you have in the organization are invested as a way of creating additional funding for the organization, for the institute, for the economy, for the masses? Or you say, no, it is my time. I have to auditor, accountant, are you sleeping? Let's see what we can do in order to do, let me tell you, embezzle the money. Remember, your judgment is there. Be close to God so that you become trained, you become well disciplined, you become futuristic, you accept challenges that, look, I am created not to make money, but to make impacts into the larger society positively. If somebody meets you today, let the person be happier than he was before he came, before he met. We have the responsibility. We shall do is
was far higher than
made.
because I was.
Please, can I continue? The next thing we shall do to improve our personal capability is to go on meditation. Meditation simply means focusing our minds using a combination of mental and physical techniques. You can sleep, you can sit up, you can stand up, you can go into anywhere that is peaceful for you to meditate. What are you meditating about? In your process of meditating, you may have a revelation of say, oh, this challenge this company is facing now, how do we go about it? In the process of meditation, you get solutions to the challenges, to the risks that are facing us in our various organizations, in our various institutes. As a leader, what do you think is your responsibility? Your responsibility primarily is to sustain the development and growth of the organization. This can only be done if you have peace of mind. If you have peace of mind, your mind is settled to think ahead. So let us try as much as possible to do what? To go into meditation. Again, what we need to do is to feel the nature. Feel the nature. It reduces what? Stress. It helps our brain to work very well. It helps the body system to work very well. Feeling the nature, a friend of mine told me, look, boy, I went to some courses, to do some courses in the US. Do you know that at a point of the course, they carried out to the bush? I was asking myself, what are we coming to do here in the bush? You know what they did to them? They dropped them inside the bush in thick forest and left alone for 12 hours. They were there. They were listening to the talks of the trees. They were listening to the songs of the birds. They were listening to nature speak to them. It is for you to better understand how things work, how it will come to pass, how it will come to be. And he said, look, I don't think in Nigeria we are doing things like that. And I said, now that you have gone and come back, let's have a strategy on how to install or how to incorporate such practicing or teaching techniques into our curriculum. Do you understand this? He's here with us today. And I'm happy that the challenges we are having will soon push us to going into feeling the nature, going into the bush on your own, and you don't have to take anybody along. When you listen, nature speaks to you. I have a driver. Each time he was driving me, at a point he would say, "Oh God, please don't talk to me." I said, why? He said, the engine of the car is talking to me. The engine of the car is doing what? It's talking to him. In other words, himself and the engine are communicating, and they know we are going. They know how we're going to get there. You need to be very, very focused. And last, we have to, again, stress management. When we have stress, we don't have a capability to think at all. When we have stress, everybody is an irritant. when we have stress, the family is an irritant. We must be careful to ensure that we manage stress very well by ensuring that, look, we go on meditation, we sit down, we relax, we sleep, we eat well, and all that. And finally, corporate risk management. The corporate organization, they have risk. We have the risk of theft. We have the risk of the human resources being lost by that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as an individual, practice purchase of insurance policies to cover your life, to cover sickness, to cover accident effect. The corporate organization should have a group life policy for the staff of the organization. It is only when the staff of the organization are happy that they will do well for you. Today, we are saying in organizational management that every organization, including the professional bodies, should create what is called agile workforce. If you have an agile workforce, you can always survive the challenges that is facing us in this country today. Thank you very much, and God bless us as I end here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Danforth Edobo. Wow, that was also insightful. Like, pointed out so many points, like which we can manage our personal risks and economic managing personal and economic risks in these trying times through having good health, being in the right frame of mind, your lifestyle, spirituality, stress management through meditation, and so many more. And these are actually things that we need to practice, because if we don't have these things in place in this trying times that we are in right now, it will be really difficult for us to not just survive. It's difficult for us to thrive. Okay, so I'm trying to admit more people. So now we have gotten to the question and answer session. So if you have any question on your mind, any addition, any contribution, any pain point you would love to share right now, please do signify by raising up your hands. I'm going to yield the mic to you. If you have any questions, any addition, any contribution, the next 2 minutes, please just raise up your hands and I'm going to yield the mic to you. There are any questions? And I believe that a lot has really been shared during this the last 3 speakers. A lot has really been shared. So if there's any question, any addition, any pain point you love to share, please do signify by raising up your hands. Okay, I can see Okojaja Daminabo. If I'm right, please you can unmute yourself now and ask your question. I see your hand. Okojaja. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name right. Okojaja.
Yeah. Okay.
Daminabo. Okay, you're welcome.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Dr. Daminabo Okojaja. I'm based in Port Harcourt. I'm a management consultant. I specialize in industrial development and funding. I have been in this for 37 years by the grace of God. And the challenge has always been there. Since I started practice in Anambra State in 1986, the challenges bedeviling the industrial subsector has remained the same. Nothing has changed in terms of government policy, in terms of policy somersault. Nothing has changed. So it is obvious that this country, we are blind to innovation, to policy shifts, and all of that. In the 70s and 80s, this country was bubbling with good economy. That was when our industries were functioning and all of that, but all this are gone and dead. Federal government policies and so on are the same. I've not seen anything different for the past 37 years as a young man, and today I'm approaching 70. So it's very unfortunate. Um, and if we don't find ourselves quickly back on track, it's going to be really, really very serious. My parents suffered lack of energy. I grew up, I saw it, I suffered it. My children suffered it. And most unfortunately, I have grandchildren. I have about 12 of them now as my grandchildren. They have all noticed that we don't have power. When they come around my house for holiday or for whatever, and they come to stay with me, the ups and off and up, off and on and off and on of NEPA, they will be shouting, grandpa, grandpa. I will be running around to put on generator for them and so on. And today we can no longer run around to put on generator for them when they come around because fuel is 600 plus. If there's no light, there's no light. If there's no power, there's no power. So unfortunately, we are heading into where I don't understand. The economy, like I say, 70s and 80s, everybody was happy, things was moving well, but suddenly everything has gone down the drain. And then as a consultant, as a young consultant in Anambra State, every January, first week, we buy daily times. Business times of in those days. There we will see economic uh, policies of federal government. We take it from there. If we are consulting for any company and we are writing feasibility studies for any company, fantastic. That policy will guide us throughout the year in terms of interest rate, in terms of policy direction. And so, but today, my dear, let me tell us, since February, policies of government has changed 4 times. 4 times. You cannot write any study as a consultant and you keep it for 90 days. It cannot work. Doesn't work. Policies has changed. Today, the interest rate, CBA interest rate, the MPR is now 18.22% per annum. So if it is 18.22 per annum, what was
Please
it?
try to summarize what you're trying to say, please, sir. Thank you so much for the contribution so far. Please just try to
Okay.
summarize.
All right. So what
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to say, in effect, is that we need to have policy direction and sustained policy direction, not policy somersault and all of that. As a consultant, I'm saying that I have not been happy with this economy because, like this year alone, 2020, whatever it's called, we have not, the policy have changed more than three to 4 times. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okujaja. That was an amazing contribution. Policy direction, and it should be sustained. I see Mrs. Gladys Odubemi. There's a question in the chat box, and I'll be directing this question to Mrs. Folashade Oshun. She said, what will you consider as the ban of our challenges? Debt or having more revenue? How can professional help to tilt policies towards critical areas that should be addressed to really make us thrive? Mrs. Falashade Osho, are you on this call? Please, I would like
Yes,
you to
I am.
address this question. Did you? I'm going to repeat the question again. So, what will you consider as the ban of our challenges?
The
Debt or
bane of
having
our
more
challenge.
revenue? How can a professional help to tilt policies towards critical areas that should be addressed to really make us thrive? You can go ahead.
Okay. I'll take the first one. What do we consider to be the bane of our problems? Is it debt or the revenue? Uh, one is an I would say the two of them work hand in hand. You cannot really separate debt from revenue. I would say that in the first place, we are not even making enough revenue to take care of our basic commitments as a country. which is why we find it easy because there's no revenue. It all begins with what is at the center of the triple. We have been running a rentier model, and this rentier model does not grow value. The rentier model, based on this extractive mindset, takes and takes and takes, and leaves in its wake debt. I remember at the time when economists, I think it was during even the at the onset of this of the immediate past administration, and a group of economists, I think at the NESD, came out and said Nigeria was borrowing too much. And then the response we got from the then finance minister was that we're not even borrowing enough. Okay, and it's very easy today to know where that is coming from. The bigger problem is not debt, because as we are paying, we are creating new ones. The bigger problem is that we are not generating enough revenue. If we are generating enough revenue based on opportunities, there will be no reason in the first place to take those debts. Which is why I think, or I'm of the opinion, that the debt issue is not only an economic development issue. It goes beyond that. It moves into the realm of international politics, which I don't want to talk about today. Nigeria has operated a mono-product economic agenda since 1960. I think it was even from the point we discovered oil. Before then, this country was, we were a world-known country when it came to agriculture, when it came to commodities. The money that was earned from palm oil trading in the East built the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. The money that was realized from the sale of cocoa products, and one or two other things, built up, created the first television station in Africa, built the University of Ibadan. We can continue to talk about this thing and explain them in detail. But as soon as we focus on oil, every other thing went down. And because oil has always been a diminishing resource, only those who know what it takes know that oil is a temporary resource. You use the proceeds because of its peculiar boom and bust cycle. You use this proceeds to embark on capital development, which is what Dubai has done. Our United Arab, the entire Dubai was nothing more than a patch of sand as of 1979. And here they are today. So the issue is not about debt, it's really about our revenue base. It has been declining since 1960, ever since we found cheap oil. Up to the point that we were awash with the Udoji money in 1973. Everyone could buy everything. Thought that the former head of state said our problem was not how to make money, but our problem was how to spend the money. Almost 50 years down the line, Nigeria has been pauperized. What does that tell you? We forgot to grow our revenue base. We could not be bothered about the revenue base, and we went on and on to look at, let us keep on borrowing. Now we have borrowed ourselves into a hole, and even what we consider to be our revenue is coming from the declining resource. That itself is a problem.
Yes.
Now, the second question about what professionals can do to stem this tide, or how can the professionals in government service try to change the status quo in spite of the stance of government on diversification? I am a strong advocate. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
We are with you. Go ahead, man.
All right. I am a strong advocate for building decentralized organic pools of development than waiting for the future federal government. Because it's very clear that we have a federal government that seems to be humongous as one entity, but in terms of real devolution of powers, it's actually quite weak. As a professional, I believe in one thing: you must have your own span of control and your sphere of influence. All over the world now, the global economy has been decentralized, has been broken into composite units of development, and the hubs replicated everywhere. The government cannot provide jobs. I hope we know that. Government has attempted to provide jobs, and it has always provided jobs in a way that makes it look like a social enterprise, which itself has not been able to sustain. That is why the rate of unemployment and unemployability is so overwhelming. But the people that provide jobs, the communities that provide jobs, are actually from the private sector. All government does in advanced countries is to provide rebates, to provide to free them up of taxes, to give incentives for people to invest. and then do business so that they can employ people. So as a professional, it's like having a conversation or a dialogue with the desk, calling on government. What is the government? Who are the government? So I believe more in professionals. For example, I spoke earlier, I said aggregate bodies of organizations that are in the same market that are considered homogeneous can begin to look at hubs of critical development. The government will only try to step in when they see that it is successful. That is why today discover that we have a lot of public and private sector initiatives, and those are the ones that are boosting development. I don't know whether this has addressed your concern.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Folashade Oshu. Mrs. Gladys, I hope that's your questions was answered. I can see Rabiu Aruna's hands up. Okay, Rabiu Aruna, you can unmute yourself now. Rabiu Aruna, if you're still on this call,
yes,
please unmute yourself. Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, vividly. Thank you.
Engineer Rabiu Haruna, and the Chairman Association of Professional Bodies Kano chapter, and I really enjoyed the discussion and conversation, but mine is a little few comments or rider into what also some of the resource persons have already presented. Issue of economy, issue of employment, issue of the situation that we are in now, and the role of government and what we need to do and what will take us out of it. Like what my immediate speaker has just said, the government responsibility is to provide regulations and standards, and that would make the professionals key into the economy to create jobs and opportunities. We look in the market, we see so many things that are below standard, or they're poorly manufactured or poorly imported, that they don't meet up to satisfy what we need or what we do. Standard is what creates value, and looking for value creates opportunities. And opportunities, the young ones can tap in to get employment and to earn a living. This is very important. The second one is the issue of energy and transportation. No economy can survive without energy and transportation. One of my senior colleagues had just mentioned it, but I just want to open a little wider. What we need to do now is railway transportation sector to be cut across all the states. It does just not be selective from Lagos to Kaduna or from Lagos to Warri. No, every state of the country must be interconnected with railway system and effective. And how do we do that? We allow Nigeria Railway Corporation to become a regulator and operator. It's not done so. No any country that flourish. You as a government agency is to regulate, private operate. And that's how it should be, and it often do. What we need to do now is to look into the law that established Nigeria Railway Corporation and review it to make it just a regulator, then attract foreign investors to come and just interconnect all our states. So we have an alternative option to travel, to transport goods and services, create job opportunities, and the economy will just grow. We're just going around just for the sentiment that government agency will now be a regulator and operator. CBN now is operating also a cashless or digital economy. No, CBN should remain as a regulator to monitor everyone. Not also, same way with Nigeria Corporation. If you look at the telecoms regulator, NCC is not an operator. And that's the ideal thing. I will stop here because there's no much time, but thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Aruna, thanks for the contribution. All right, so we have two other questions in the chat box, and we'll be addressing it. I would like to bring our last speaker for today before we address those questions. And I'm going to read out a comment from Mr. Danfote Dobo, which says, in addition, the professional bodies should begin to inculcate discipline and compliance with rules and regulations. So when they get into office, they do the right thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Danfote Dobo. So yeah, I've taken note of the two questions by Mrs. Gladys and Taufik Lawal. We're going to answer them after our last speaker comes on board. So without taking much of our time, it's actually a privilege or my pleasure to introduce our fourth speaker for today. Our next speaker is not only the host for today's event, but is also a leading expert in the field of business recovery and the personal development and so much more. He has a track record of empowering individuals and business and policies, to overcome challenges. So he is going to shed light on the thriving solutions, building a viable personal and business recovery trajectory amidst these challenges. So I would like to make welcome Mr. Kende Shugule. He is the Chief Solutions Architect at Lead Resources and also a host for today's webinar. I yield the virtual floor to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, all the speakers. Thank you very much, the Association of Professional Bodies in Nigeria, Ogun State branch. This has been a very exciting discussion webinar. It's been a lot of insights have been shared, and attendance has been quite impressive. At a point of almost 50 people were on right from the beginning. And for those who have still stayed behind, it's been very, very interesting, and it's been nice having this session with you. And this is the way we have to do it, particularly as professionals who really have to rise up to the challenge. They said when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I think professionals, particularly in Nigeria, are tough tough stuff. And they said tough times don't really last, but tough people do. And I think this is what we're actually trying to do. This is not the time for agonizing. It's the time for organizing. It's not the time for us to be saying, okay, good old days, things have happened like this, that. Why has it happened? We're all professionals. We are all knowledgeable. We are all competent. How can we rise to this challenge? We've been saying this over and over and over. Like Mr. Jaja mentioned, these issues have always been there. Issues of power, issues of subconsulting policies. What do we as professionals need to do? And that one thing that somebody has said over there is that a change in mindset. I think we have been running through what I call a normal economic phase. We have been running through what government has, we have been running through things normally. I think abnormal times require abnormal thinking. It requires a shift in mindset. And it has to start from us as professionals. A shift in mindset, a paradigm shift about how things are done generally. A particular book by Bono said that in 1820, most civilizations were at the same level of complexity and development, most civilizations in the world. But it took only 60 years between 1820 and 1880 for differences to begin to emerge. Differences in terms of development, in terms of even technology advancement, and quite a lot of things like that. What happened? What really happened was that there was the codification of knowledge, the sharing of knowledge, and the application of that knowledge. And I think what we have not done enough in Nigeria since our independence, or even before independence, because we were still, if you look at it, that Martin Luther King was talking about independence, freedom, 1963. And here we are very free. We have been pushing for democracy. We've gotten democracy 24 years now. We are still in the same place. With all the excuses that we have, military rule or whatever, but where we are now governing ourselves, democracy is there. What are we doing? This is where all of us have to now begin to wear different hats, not of compliance, but of innovation, of creativity. And that is what we professionals need to do. So our mindset has to begin to change. We have to move from complaints or challenges to solutions. And it is in this realm of solutions that we have not really built ourselves. Our education has not prepared us to solve problems. Our education has prepared us to maintain systems. Our education has not prepared us to create systems. Our education has prepared us to maintain systems. Now we need to begin as professionals to see how do we create systems that will work for us. And this is one thing that we did. How do we need to create that system that will need to work for us? And the professionals, some of us are competent professionals. We have passed through rigorous standards to get to the level we are in. We have to lead the way. We have to lead the way. What has happened in those developed economies, some of us have studied, is the fact that they have pulled themselves together to begin to challenge the issues they are facing in the world. Most professionals have constituted what they call think tanks, who read ahead what could happen in a particular in their domain and say this is what we have to do. A very notable example is the World Economic Forum. They meet every year. and they discuss the world economy. Where are the trends? And today, they form the richest base of economic thinking everywhere in the world, in all spheres of the economy. Do we have such in Nigeria? We have the Bilderberg Group. We have so many of those think tanks thinking about, everybody, all our politicians run to Chatham House. What do they do there? They all simulate and sensitize ideas about how the world should move forward. And we also get our templates from there. I think the system has gotten to the point where we have to develop our own templates of development. We have been borrowing from IMF, we have been borrowing from World Bank, and what they have been doing is to be exploiting us, giving us precisions that do not work for us. And what our education and exposure should have given us now is that we should begin to develop our own templates, our own frameworks, our own models to achieve the results that we want. No one will come and develop our country for us. The Asian tigers did it. Taiwan, Korea, Indonesia, they all did it. The Indians did it. The Chinese did it. What is stopping us in Nigeria? What is stopping us is that the knowledgeable people, the competent people, the professionals are not rising up to the challenge. And that's what we're talking about now. Government cannot do as much as they can do. Some of us have been in government at all levels, and we have seen there is no magic wand that the government people will have to do. There are human beings that are in government. Somebody mentioned it. Who are the government? Would they come up with new models? They may not. They are managing part-time. They are not managing for the future. And corruption has also dealt with a lot of issues. So we as professionals have to lead the way in our thinking, in our paradigm, in our thinking. And that has to start with our personal thinking, our paradigm sheet. Everything is possible. Somebody mentioned, I think Dr. Deboda mentioned, we got a divine charge. Every human being in the world has gotten a divine charge that go ye, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. As individuals, as professionals, we have been equipped to go and multiply, to be fruitful and have dominion. Are we having dominion, or are we patching ourselves? Are we looking for opportunities, rent mountains, or are we creating opportunities? We need to begin to create opportunities. How do we create opportunities? We need to, first of all, somebody mentioned there, we have to build a routine of discipline. Our professors have trained us to be disciplined, but how many of us are really personally disciplined to actually achieve results that we want to achieve? How many of us have developed what I call a personal mission, a personal vision? How many of us have developed what they call a personal model canvas? What value are we adding into the world? So we need to go from that perspective to say, first of all, what am I a professional for? What contribution am I making? Do I get my certificate or my license just to make money, or to make a contribution to humanity? In engineering, in finance, in development, everywhere of us, what contribution are we making? It should not, our certificates should not just, our license should not just be for a job. It's to lead society for the better. And I think we as professionals have to do this. So that's why we need this personal model canvas. We need to rebuild it. We need to know what value are we having, who are we giving the value to, who can be our partners, what activities do we need to be engaged in. So that at the end of the day, we put this through a process of discipline. Somebody talked about meditation. I will comment to most of us what they call the 50, but some of us may know it, called the 5 o'clock club. They talk about the first hour of the day. How do we spend it? Are we spending it in reflection? Are we spending it in knowledge? Are we spending it in reflection, knowledge, and even exercise? If you don't spend your first hour very well, you may likely not have spent your whole day well. And there's a whole routine of spending the day. So it's all about the personal, building a routine for personal delivery that achieve results, because the society, the world, the economy is looking up to us. It is some of us that are also professionals that go to government to advise government wrongly, or we don't form the critical mass that can tell government the policy directions that can lead to sustainability. And that is why professionals have to lead the day. There's a whole movement coming on in the world now called the Solution Revolution movement, where they're looking at how can we all build ourselves, collaborate to build solutions, because we look at government to do everything for us. to write the policies, to implement the policies. Somebody said it about railway. They are operators and also regulators. Where do you see that happening? One, they are not regulating well. They cannot even operate well. What do they need to even regulate? So at the end of the day, let us begin to create a mindset of solutions. And the mindset of solutions in this day, time and age has been defined by this solution revolution. We're talking about calling ourselves citizen change makers. People who are committed, impact investors, citizen change makers. People who are committed to making changes, making fundamental changes in their domain. They need to work with new models, economic models that are working. And creating those economic models is one of the major issues we've had. Nigeria has been running probably one or two economic models. The world is changing at a very dizzying pace. Technology is affecting the world so much significantly, and we are still running the same monoproduct economy, largely a monoproduct economy. When other countries have shifted, somebody mentioned in 1979, UAE is a domain it's a desert domain. Today, see what they turned into. How are they able to do that? Tapped into their divine instruction, created new model, have a solution mindset, and created the new models. And today they are where they are today. So we as citizen change makers, as impact investors, creating new models, we need to also understand emerging technology. Where is technology taking us? Do we understand the technology that we want to, that is what technology has done to the world today? Today now, AI and ChatGPT, they call it, is changing the world. What impact does it have on our profession? Do we know? We then need to be able to start looking seriously at digital transformation. How can we utilize technology within all its ramifications to influence the world? We may not be technical experts, but we must be aware of what technology is doing so that we can utilize them well. A lot of our young people are going to various areas of technology, but are they able to harness it for our development? They are using it as a way of getting certificates so that they can go and work abroad. But we as professionals, are we seeing the need for drones? Are we seeing the need for AI? Are we seeing the need for social media in what we are doing? Are we building everything that is required to make sure that we use technology to drive what we want to do? So that is the solution revolution that we need to talk about. A combination of us changing our business models, using technology to drive a value for our economy in significant ways, and to question our reality. Then we need to have this also mindset of abundance. The world is the world. Nowhere is more perfect than the other. It is the people in those places, are the professionals in those places that have actually created the world that we see. How well are we creating our own world that people will begin to see as somewhere different? That is the spirit of abundance. We need to have that. Kingsley Morgan wrote a book quite recently, and I've commended it to every one of us. He said, build, innovate, and grow. We need to imbibe the mindset of building, innovating, and grow. But we cannot just build, innovate, and grow if you don't have to go through the process of innovation, the process of building. How many things have we built? So we need to begin to look at that process of innovation. That is very, very, very important. And there are so many models and frameworks that are available to make that happen now. And innovation is not just about innovation, it's about creating value. We are meeting today, 50 of us are meeting today because somebody innovated, somebody saw the need for us not to aggregate in one hall. We're still sharing ideas. It's not costing us so much. And see, today we're sharing perspectives. How can we leverage on things like this? How can we encourage a lot of this to happen so that we can innovate as much as possible? And that's where we need to start talking about a business model canvas. What we have seen in the world, the model for running the world has changed. Like I said before, the business for running the economy of Nigeria has changed. There are disruptive factors, but we are not factoring all those disruptive factors, including an economy that works for us. We need to pull our head together as professionals to create the model that can work for us. And like somebody also mentioned, we have this centralizing idea about the economy. Nigeria's economy is not one economy. It is 37 economies. The economy of Lagos State is different from the economy of Ogun State. Yet we use the same, we use the same perspective to run the economy. We need to then begin to build economic models for each state. And this is where professionals have to work. Where can we add value to the world? What can Ogun State add to the world? if we are professionals from Ogun State, how can we come together to build that economy and begin to say these are the priorities for Ogun State? It is not government that will do it. We never have them ask these questions for them when they are campaigning together. So how can they then build the economy? So we must have clusters of competence who begin to say this is the direction we have to go. If you study the United States very well, every state in the United States has one distinctive feature. Texas is known for oil. Boston is known for, Massachusetts is known for knowledge. So many of them often known for one thing or the other, building an economy around that. Are we building, what are we building? What is the economy of Ogun State about? Is it tourism? Is it music? Is it cassava? Is it entertainment? So we need to begin to build economies. And that's where the issue of community economic development, local economic development comes to play. And using all the tools that we have talked about, we can then begin to build a value chain, an ecosystem that actually asks people to work. And that is when government can, even when we build a thriving ecosystem, what happens? Government will come and play with us. When they see that you are actually running businesses that is actually generating taxes, generating revenue, building, employing people, and creating a quality of life. Government will not do all of that. It is we professionals that we need to stimulate, where people in the built environment will say, this is what we want to build. People in the technology say, we want to actually create this kind of businesses here. So even if it's manufacturing, what do we want to specialize in? Do we want to just produce everything? In those days when we were doing economics, localization of industry and location of industries, they said industries get located where they have the highest comparative advantage. Here we just set up industries. We don't know about the comparative closeness to source of raw materials. We don't look at it because all our raw materials are imported. So we need to really begin to redefine for ourselves what are the things we want to do. I think these are this require a strategy, personal strategy, professional strategy, business strategy, community strategy, and even the state strategy. This is where the inputs of and the efforts and the attitude of all professionals need to be played, so that we begin to look at reacting, not struggling to survive, but struggling to live. I think if we put all of this together and we recognize that there are a repertoire of tools and resources that can make that possible, and we can only achieve it through collaboration. It is that kind of collaboration that we have fostered in creating this in the first instance, to preach this gospel of there has to be a different mindset, a different skill set. That's why I was brought with that. That's what has brought people like us, Lead Resources, High Performance, and the Association of Professional Bodies together. We are starting today, but we need to continue that journey, engaging and creating systems that will work, not just maintaining systems. That is where I would say we need to get into the solution mindset, and we'll have to work together at this. To start all of that, I think we have already posted a WhatsApp link in the chat box. Connect it so that we can continue this. I know we cannot explore all of that today. We cannot finish exploring today, but we need to trigger and nudge our minds that we need to have a new mindset, a mindset of personal effectiveness, a mindset of business solution revolution, a mindset of business models, and a mindset of community economic and development. That is when we can begin to recreate from below, and then we can begin to achieve on a sustainable basis the economic development that we want, despite the current challenges that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very profound. Wow. So like you said, we'll not have, due to time constraints, we won't be able to do so much. I'm going to post the link to the WhatsApp. If you want this conversation to go on, you can register for our workshop where we are going to work out with you, your structures, your challenges, everything that you need to do. If you want to grow in this challenging time, please join this WhatsApp. I'm trying to add the link to the platform. Please, I'm sorry about that.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
May I just
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. So right now, thank you so much to our amazing speakers that have actually spoken so far. So right now we're going to the last part of the segment, which is also questions and answer. So, and there are some plenty questions. So I'm going to ask them now, and I'll ask Mr. Kende Shogile to please answer this question. Which is first one from Mrs. Gladys, which says, for professionals in government service, how can youth strive to change the status quo in spite of the stance of government on diversification? Most times, these things are said but never implemented. Is the professional doing enough, or the one to blame, or are they the one to blame for these ills?
Okay, thank you
Mr.
very
King,
much. I think I'll answer the last question first. I think our professionals are not doing enough. I'm not going to blame them. I think the systems can become training, but what we're saying is that we need a new mindset now. Most governments have development plans, are supposed to have development plans, are supposed to have development plans. If they don't have, the professionals have to advise them or encourage them to have development plans. In fact, the development plans for the world has already been captured in the Sustainable Development Goals. Every manifesto, every plan of government can find a house in the Sustainable Development Goals. So what you then need to see is that whatever they are bringing, you can actually integrate it or find a way of getting it integrated into Sustainable Development Goals. And then the opportunities for, because opportunities for diversification also included there. Every ministry who is supposed to be a regulator must be looking at how can we improve the economy, how can we improve the revenue of the states. Most of us think, I've run a project for the state before, most people run about what is coming from the center, not what they are creating. They talk about this IGR, but even IGR are traditional models that people are using. A lot of what has been done in Nigeria today has been on addressing inefficient systems, collection, but not necessarily new ways of making money or new ways of facilitating or regulating, creating value. Our professionals need to begin to look at all of this. For every ministry they hire in, they must thinking, am I facilitating value creation in the economy? That is where they are not doing enough. It's not because of the job, it's because we are not pushing strongly enough as professionals, both as professionals outside and a lot of professionals inside government who are not doing enough to direct government to areas that they need to work towards diversification or improving the economy. So that's where I will answer that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope that question was addressed, Mrs. Gladys. And also, there's also a question from Taufik Lawal, and I'll be directing this question to Mr. Dino Luronte, which says, what's the relevance of the professionals to government at the subnational levels? Production facilities in Ogun State needs to generate employment for residents. Do you get the question? Mr. Luronte Dino?
Mr.
Luronte, are you still on this call?
Okay, if it's not on the call, because let me just, I also try to address that. With the issues about, okay, relevant. I think we have already talked about it also.
Yes.
Professionals need to go beyond just doing the work to having a charge to impact society.
Yes.
To impact society profoundly. And so, in terms of, particularly at the subnational level, that's what I said. We are running a different economy, different from the national economy. And so we need to create a model of how this economy will work for the citizens and residents of Ogun State, of that subnational. But today we don't have. Most times the professionals have not come together to create that economy. We've just been running a similar economy. If 80% or 90% of our revenue is generated from federal allocation, what economy are we running? We need to look, and that's why we're talking about local economic development, community economic development, so that we can have clusters of competence, clusters where we have comparative value. There was something that the Ministry of, Smedan mentioned at the time called one local government, one product. That one local government product will make sure that people walk around a particular product, so that the whole value chain of a product, so that a local government will have something is offering the state and offering the country, or even offering internationally. That's when all the that's when with one local government, one product, it will generate employment within that local government. But we need to find that product that taps into the resources of that local government. That's where Mr. Dino was talking about asset-based community development. It's called ABCD. In every community, in every local government, in every city in this town, there are assets, there are human assets, physical assets, a lot of structures that can be tapped into. But how much of it are we looking at? They will say some people are dry areas, some people are weak areas. No. If you look very well at creating a community strategy or a community economic strategy for that local government or that city, you will see that the place can thrive. So that is what I can say it can address Alhaji Taufik Lawa's question or contribution there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I can see a hand. Okay, that's Mr. Elijah Odumosu. Odumosu, right? Please, I yield the mic to you, sir. You can unmute yourself. Mr.
Hello,
Elijah
yes.
Odumosu.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
lastly.
great. So first of all, I just really want to commend this this committee for this great meeting. I happened to stumble into it by checking my sisters, who is also in this meeting right now. I stumbled into it this morning when I woke up, and he sent it to our platform, and I saw it, and I shared it with everyone, my other various platforms. So I just want to commend you for having a great start. I don't know if this is the first one or not, but I'm extremely impressed just for the few minutes of discussion that I have heard so far. I am in diaspora, and I am a very passionate technology professional. I've been blessed to have been in this profession, software engineering, for over 3 decades. And my passion has always been how can I, in my own little world, and we collectively, basically just transform Nigeria into a technological country in terms of software engineering and many other areas as well, which is revolutionizing the whole world. I mean, technically, and especially in the United States, where I am. So I don't want to talk too long, but my question is, how can we coordinate, work together with people like me in diaspora? I was in Nigeria 2 years ago to start up a project, but it really didn't head anywhere because I just figured maybe Nigeria was not ready for it. So just to visit. So, but hearing things like this and being in this kind of meeting is very encouraging, extremely encouraging. And I'm a man of action. I want us maybe to see how we can work together with in diaspora. I am directly connected and related to working in the current project that is very AI and data science based. So I believe we can contribute a lot, and if we only work together. So that's my question. How can we take this to the next level and connect, coordinate, and plan, strategize with us professionals in the diaspora? I can spread this word to so many other people, and God help us. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elijah. Okay,
Thank you
Mr.
very much. Yeah,
Okay,
let me quickly say that. Thank you very much, Mr. Elijah, for the enthusiasm. In fact, we have another project in the offing which are in the pipeline, which are already working on, which is called the Greater. I don't know whether you are from Ogun State. We call it Greater Ogun Agenda Linkage. A Greater Ogun Agenda Linkage is to link us with people in the diaspora so that we can begin to, because a lot of people in the diaspora really want to help, but they don't know how to, who they want to connect with, or they come and they get frustrated. But some of us professionals that have been here, we know the ropes. So maybe if you click up the WhatsApp link, We can get your details from there, and then we can get to you on how we can facilitate that collaboration. We definitely want to take this beyond just talk. We must walk this talk. And we, even after all this, we are going to work out a plan of implementation, which we have done with some other organizations, with APBN, on how we can take this further. The era of talking is gone. We've got to work. We don't have time. The world is all waiting for us. So we join this WhatsApp link. We'll get your details from there, and then we can take it from there. And then we can see immediately some things will begin to happen. Thank you very much.
I definitely will. I will do that. And by the way, I'm from Ogun State, so that's all.
That makes it a lot easier. Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. We'll work together. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much there. So in just 2 minutes, are there any other question or contribution before we wrap up this insightful, enlightening, educative, informative webinar? Is there any other question, any addition? Anyone who wants to share our pain points in the next 2 minutes? Okay, I'm waiting. Any other person that wants to share anything, any other
Do
question?
not forget to click let's take the conversation further. We can drill down into specific organizational and personal challenges so that we can work together in these trying times. If you just click that up, we'll form a WhatsApp group that we can, platform economics, they call it, then we can begin to pursue a lot of some of these things. We would definitely, like I said before, we definitely want to take this thing beyond the talk. We have done enough of talking. We are not enough of agonizing. This is the time for organizing, and time is not waiting for us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kehinde Shogule. So please, the link is in the chat box. Kindly click on the link to join the WhatsApp platform. So
perhaps you can request for some last comments from the speakers.
Okay, I think that's a very good idea. So I'm going to be starting with Mrs. Folashade Oshun. She was our very first speaker, and she spoke about the current realities of the post-transition of Nigeria economy. So any comment from you, Mrs. Folashade?
Yes. All I'm going to say is that the river is within sight if we do not lose focus of the show. Nigeria is passing through a necessary process for her to leapfrog into her own future. Given the right trajectory, given the right environment, given the right content that we create for ourselves, Nigeria will surpass the markers for her destiny very soon. Nigeria is going through a transformation-altering circumstance. We cannot afford to be altered by the circumstance because we were created to dominate this space. We were created to go out there and fulfill. All professionals, this is the time that all professionals need to come on board. The government cannot do it, it's very clear. The flip-flop policy formulations we have seen and the fact that the economy itself seems to be addressed shows that there's an opportunity waiting out there that only those of us with tested practice, experience, and commitment to building a greater Nigeria will resolve. That's all I will say for now. Let's go out there and go and achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Folashade Oshun. So I'm going to bring Mr. Oluranti Dion. I'm not sure if he's on this call. Mr. Edobo Danfort, please go mute yourself. Any comments as a roundup? Oh, okay. Please, before Mr. Edobo, Mr. Oluranti Dion, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you. Two things quickly. I'm going to speak to us as business professionals and also as people who are strategically positioned to influence policy. Right now, there are two options for many businesses where we seek to create value. It's either we look at our cost drivers or we look at our revenue drivers. I think we should take the more proactive state. There is one fun statement we usually make when the NNN team is playing against Brazil. They say Brazil does not have a good defense. They just score me one, I score you five. And I think we need to be more adventurous, more inventive. Businesses need to begin to look at how they can open up. And I think this has a lot to do on our leveraging on the digital transformation. We need to look at how we can open up new streams of value creation. The pain points that people have right now actually are opportunities for us to meet those needs and to create value to them. Some things were not didn't have any economic incentive before, but now they have economic incentive. We should not be looking at what it is going to cost to create the value. We are supposed to be thinking about how to create that value and to maximize the revenue, the profit that we get from those. And we need to leverage on how to open up new markets, how to attract new people to our businesses. The other thing I want to quickly talk about is in the area of policy influence. We need to follow critically the policy statements made by governments. We gone are the days where the government will just make a policy and then everybody will go to sleep expecting that it will actually happen the way the government has said it will, because we have a serious stake in this. The money that is supposed to be used to make life easier for us as per subsidy, now it is being channeled to government coffers, and we should hold government accountable. We are saying that we want to know how the money is spent. We want to be sure that this money is put in the right places that can make life better for the average Nigerian in the shortest time possible and in a sustainable manner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence Dio. Okay, so Mr. Danforth, a double. Any comment from you, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. It has been a wonderful time, wonderful day for all of us. From me, I want to say that Nigeria is just passing through another phase of its life. At the end of it all, there will be life, there will be joy, and there will be satisfaction to everybody. But this cannot come until we do what I call intentional decision to be made by every national of this country. Intentional. It will not have to come by chance. The Americans at a point realized they were not building themselves. They came together and said, hey, we can't continue fighting ourselves. Let's build something new. The Japanese, before they took up to become a industrialized nation, they said we cannot continue to fight ourselves. Let's build a nation that will be benefiting to everyone that lives in this society. Dubai, they did the same thing. For us here in Nigeria, we must make an intentional choice, decision to say, oh, boys, we can't continue to run our economy like this. One of the speakers said, let us go back to what he called community-based economic strategy of development. Instead of centralizing decision for people to implement in faraway Delta state from Abuja is not going to work. Therefore, this intentional decision for us to become productive, first of all, we have to start from the national level, to be copied at the state level, to be copied at the local government level, and then at the community level. It has to be intentional, and we have to play according to the rules and regulations for economic and national development. It doesn't just come like that. There are regulations, there are frameworks, there are policies, there are strategies that have to be implemented. And we have to be conscious of the fact of how do we handle the associated uncertainties and risks that are attached to this economic development. With God, and we believe in that we have an instruction from God to go and do what? Multiply, take responsibility over the earth possession. We shall be there in no time. But we need to be conscious, need to create such an economy. Thank you. Thank you.
Profound. Thank you so much, Mr. Dan, for the double. And also, I would love to bring our chair lady, Mrs. Gladys Odugbemi, to please give some comments regarding
the closing remarks.
Yeah, the closing remark, Ms. Gladys Odugbemi. Okay, I'm not sure she's
yes.
okay.
I'm here. This has been a very good work. In fact, I'm happy that this came up, and I believe it's going to be a continuous thing. I want to appreciate Lead Resources and High Performance Associate for bringing this up. And we really look forward to collaborating so that we all can thrive and make Nigeria a better place. Thank you so much, Mr. Kehinde Shogunle. It's been wonderful. And I know that every professional on this platform would be living better than we came. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ma. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have
Before
reached
you
the
wrap up, I think there are two things.
Okay.
Sorry for breaking the protocol. I saw Mr. Elijah also showing hands up again. Maybe there's some thoughts that have come to his mind.
Yes, thank you so much for
Yeah.
recognizing that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on what Mr. Danforth discussed just a couple of minutes ago. As much as I agree with most of the thing he says, there's just one thing, one area that I think we need to be aware of, maybe to kind of know how to steer our way around it. Obviously, I'm not the best judge of how this is going to happen. He mentioned that we need to start from the government, the top, right? And then that the state and all the other regional copies other regions will copy from there. I don't want us to subscribe to that kind of mentality because if we can start from the top, from the federal government, that would be great. There's nothing wrong with that, absolutely. However, if for whatever reason, maybe the resources or the networking or the implementation or the planning is not immediate, it's not urgent enough, and if that's going to be a roadblocker, if that's going to be a roadblocker, then we need to circumvent around that, to have it from the state up, because there are two types of design: top-down design approach, and there's bottom-up approach design. So if we top-down, will be starting from the government down, federal government. Bottom-up will be state, then up. So I just want us to consider that kind of statement, to be able to know that it doesn't have to be from the federal government down, if we can do it from bottom-up approach. So that's just my comment. I just wanted to have that in there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I think it's really well recognized. I think that's what we're even talking about: community economic development and local economic development. It's actually, we've been working with the top down. It has not worked for us since our independence. I think we need to be encouraging more bottom up. And once we can build local economics, community economies that are virile and vibrant and sustainable, it can all add up to build a national economy that can work out. And so I think more the inclination will be towards bottom up. Thank you very much for that insight. I think we'll take a lot of this also up. I've already seen your contact. We'll take a lot of things up after all this channel. Thank you. Let me use this opportunity to also thank everyone for staying till this time. It's been almost 2 hours or 2.5 hours of productive, fulfilling time. I would like to thank the Association of Professional Bodies in Nigeria, particularly our first contact there. He's here, but he's not talking much. Engineer Olumayowa, that first of all, they invited us for some debate sometimes in the past, and we saw that we have a crop of people that we can collaborate with, particularly on this matter. Thank you very much for facilitating this. I thank very much the Association of Professional Bodies in Nigeria, Ogun State branch, for the enthusiastic response they've given to this, and the collaboration, the notion of, and this inclination for collaboration going forward. Hyperformance Associates Limited, I think they have done very wonderful. Mrs. Folashade Oshun, our partner in this process, have been quite resourceful. And there are quite a lot of other people that are here. I can see the state chairman of ICANN, Alaji Tunde Jinodu. He's been nudging us from behind and he's been encouraging us to be part of this. Quite a lot of people that I cannot mention. I can see a lot of people, engineers, town planners, civil engineers, and quite a lot of people that are making this quite useful. you can be sure that it's not going to, and there's been a very worthy day. You can be sure that it's not going to end at this level. We're going to take things a lot further. And I think all of us will work together towards making sure that we create a country and a state and even the community of our dreams. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. So we have come to the end of this insightful webinar. So lastly, as our host has actually said, I want us also to remember that thriving in this tough economic times is not just about surviving, it's really about adapting, innovating, and leading the way forward. So let us all apply the knowledge we've gained here to strengthen our professional bodies and also in turn create a positive impact in our industries and community. So also keep an eye out for future webinars and events from these resources as we continue to be at the forefront of fostering growth and excellence in the professional ecosystem. Thank you all once again for joining. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Safe
Bye.
to the US.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. It has been a productive time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. It's been a very good webinar. Very grateful for the program.
Bye from APBN.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye from Ikanalokuta district. We
I
enjoy
know.
you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Mr. Tobule.
Actually,
Very good
I
for the discussion. Thank you very much.
I like you
All
not do.
right,
We are
sir.
still going to do the one for ICANN specifically.
We do it. We do it. We package it for you, sir. Don't worry.
No problem.
I will get in touch. We do it.
Yes, no problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes, my brother. Thank you. Safe trip to London.
It's already there. We are not sure.
From here now, you are going to travel again with a trip back to the United Kingdom. So safe trip.